Big sauce right now.
What are you doing? What are you doing? What?
Dude,
No.
she's here. What's up,
You can't stop. We can't stop now.
It looks like they're having car trouble.
Dude, what the hell? Let's do it. Oh,
Just
come back another day.
Just drive. Just park the fucking car. She already
Who
fucking
is
saw.
she? Why are we
Come
doing
on, Frank.
this?
Just go in the fuck.
They're not leaving.
Should I go check it out?
Yeah.
Drive. Just drive. Just
No,
park
I
the car.
can't. It's not going now. You just broke
drive.
it.
I didn't break it. Just drive. Oh, she's coming. Fuck. She's coming. Where you going, Frankie? No, Frankie.
The last year's been very intense. You know, we've made 3 feature films in 1 year. You know, and each one was its own battle. And then, of course, you know, we ran the Bootleg Film Festival, one in Edinburgh, and then 6 months later, one in New York. And then, of course, I produced and wrote Jeffrey P. Neska's movie Elsewhere in New York, which is obviously where, you know, a lot of, you know, where Andrew came from for this movie. It's been busy. It's been very busy. And it's a strange accomplishment to, you know, make 1 feature film is huge, but to make 3 in 12 months is it's been difficult. But I wouldn't have been able to do it without. It wasn't just me doing it. It wasn't just one person. You know, and I'm very conscious of grabbing that flag and going, I did this, because it wasn't just me. It was me, supported and surrounded by incredibly talented and clever people who could also put up with my diva bullshit at times. So yeah, it's been great, and I owe it to everyone else, really. The film basically concerns that typical, you know, when relationships go sour, and how the people involved then lean on their friends, and how they can go from being, you know, everyone says, oh, I'm there for you, and then it's like, now you're an absolute irritation to me, and I wish I'd never said that to you. So it's about how sometimes we can go from being in a relationship where we're relying on that person because, you know, we love them and they love us, to then going to our friends to go and we say, wait, but that person that's just left looked after me, and now you have to look after me because, you know, that's your job as my friend. And it's about blurring the lines, not necessarily sexually, but blurring the lines of what friendships are about, especially male-female friendship. First screenplay I've co-written and directed, yeah. I've co-written previously, and I've script doctored lots of work prior to this, and obviously written for other directors, but this is the first time I've co-written and then had to direct, yeah. It was... It's funny because you, as much as we pretend that we like to believe we don't have an ego, we still like to believe that we're right. And having to let go of so much stuff where I go, this is how I've seen it in my head, this is how I envisage it, to give it to Maria, she'll come back and just be like, yeah, I took it all out and changed it. But the structure might still be there, but she'll write a new truth for... And it doesn't mean that I was wrong or that she's suddenly so much better than me. It's just the fact that she's seen something that I missed, or she's got an idea that I could never have had. And in a funny kind of way, it kind of puts your ego to one side for you, because you only work with people you respect. You know, I have a rule. It sounds funny, but I will only work with people who are as good as me or better than me, which sounds egotistical. But if I can work with people who are better than me more and more and more, then that's great for me. So that's what I tried to do. And working with Maria on the screenplay took a lot of trust, and was also a lot of fun, because it did mean that if I fell into my traps of, you know, give this character a life-threatening disease and then we're done, you know, it took that away from me, and it was fun to not do that. So yeah, it was good. I look for good actors. It's basically that. I don't care what you look like, I don't care how tall you are, I don't care if you're, you know, perceived as being good looking, or I just want you to be, I just don't want to babysit you, and I want you to blow me away. And that's the fundamental, like, you know, it could be in the smallest thing. It could be in the sense of, you know, they might just deliver a scene with such confidence but no noise, you know, that I'm like, wow, okay, I know that person's got it, and that person has gotten me, because that's what they have to do to an audience. They have to reach out and get your audience on your behalf. So I look for, it's that typical thing. I look for people who are, who have that, I hate that, the phrase now, obviously, it's been so bastardized, but the idea of having the X factor, that's something that everybody wants to be around them, that charisma. If they've got that and that confidence and humility, then brilliant, they're in. Yeah. So we got no money. Yeah, we got no money, and but every frame in the film I wanted to work as a still shot. I used to do photography years ago, and I was obsessed with black and white because of once you strip away the colour, you strip out all that excess information, and all you're left is with structure. You're left with physical structure, either of the face or of the landscape. And what I love about monochrome, about black and white, is this idea that all you have is a good-looking frame, you have good-looking structure, and it has to be visually interesting. So when you've got no money, it forces you to shoot better. You know, it makes you shoot your film better, especially if it's black and white, because there's no colours to dazzle, there's nothing like that. So I really wanted something that was deconstructing what was my style traditionally, in terms of the story, and deconstructing what was happening visually, and hoping that the two married together. And it seems, I think it really works for the film. I think it serves the story rather than distracts from it. There have been, you know, you have that friend who, they break up with someone and then they say, oh, you know, it was really difficult, and you give them just clear-cut advice, just straightforward advice. And then they go, yeah, okay, I hear you, know, you're so right. You check in with them next time and they're like, you know, life is fine, we're still together. And you kind of go, oh, okay, well, I just gave you this advice and you didn't follow it. And then I acknowledge that I've also been that person. And then I realise everyone's done it. So it's that thing of saying, it's a common flaw that we all have in the pursuit of wanting to be cared about, loved and adored. And it's one of those things where I've, you know, until recently, you know, been pretty terrible at picking the right relationships. So yeah, it has its roots. You ever gone into an audition and been laughed at, square in the face? That's what happened. I went into an audition, I was 19, and I thought I knew everything about film, about cinema, about what being an actor was, about, you know, being rich and famous and on the front cover of magazines. And then I realised how painful it was for somebody not to take you seriously because you're 6'4", or you're the wrong shape, or you're the wrong, you know, your face is, you know, you got a big nose or a big chin, and it was just this brutal realization that you're judged based on how you look versus what goes on in there. So the transition was one of, well, no one's going to give me a job. No one's going to employ me as a filmmaker, as an actor, so I better become a filmmaker in order to employ myself. And so the transition seemed obvious. And then I realised how hard it is to make films, and realised maybe sometimes it's easier to get laughed at in an audition than it is to get a film made. But I'm glad, because it was difficult it was hard enough to tell people I was going to become an actor, let alone become a filmmaker. And then how do you explain what a filmmaker does or what a filmmaker is? It's, you know, I'm not even sure I know what it is yet, really. So yeah, it was a huge shift. But I'm glad I did it. You know, the hardest thing about shooting on films is the 12-hour days, the 14-hour days, especially when we've got no money. One day we shot on the second film, Nina Nobody. We shot from 9 a.m. till 2 a.m. all the way through. That wasn't like, you know, we didn't have any, you know, an hour downtime here. It was all the way through. That was hard. But the and seeing. But I believe in actors. That's the thing. I always write for actors. I always give them so much say, so much volume, and then work the technical stuff around the actors. That's the way I like to work. I don't go in with my storyboard and go, can you stand there, and just say your lines, don't worry about it. I like to come in from the character's perspective, which in itself creates friction, because you give people so much influence on what you're going to do and so much space to share their ideas that you end up sometimes having conflicting ideas. But I always trust people, and I always trust that, I always respect them and say, okay, if your idea is better than mine, amazing. But if it's not better than mine, then we go with my idea. And sometimes we don't go with my idea because their idea is better than mine. But there's also the fact that other times I go, no, I think I like what I initially wanted, so we all go with that. So the experience, and that's from writing the script through to shooting the film, through to cutting the film. It's all about working with good people. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Maria's got some projects, so the next thing is to let these films get their audience and find their natural audience, and basically be there as much as I can as for Maria in the way, and hope that I can step up even half as much as she stepped up for me, and for everyone else that I want to work with and support them, because I do believe that I know so many talented filmmakers. So the next thing is really about working with those filmmakers and those actors to kind of produce good work, hopefully. Yeah.